Good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday, April 7th, 2026, and up until a moment or so ago, I thought we were going to embroil the Middle East in global thermonuclear war. Uh, but it looks like 10 minutes ago, Al Jazeera reported that U.S. President Donald Trump suspends U.S. attacks on Tehran, and Tehran and the U.S. have both agreed to a 2-week ceasefire. So life is good. Anyway, you're watching Last Week Today. We're a compilation of the most important stories of the week from Legacy and New Media. My name is Chuck Black, and my partner in crime is Richard Gagnon. Richard, what does it feel like not to be blowing up in a thermonuclear holocaust?
Yeah, that's news to me.
It came out 10 minutes ago on Al Jazeera. I will pull this up right now. Let's see if I could do it. I don't have any of the screens set up for it. I'm just sort of winging this as I go along. Share screen. There we go. There we go. Iran war live. Trump suspends U.S. attacks. Tehran agrees to 2-week ceasefire. And this isn't from the White House. This isn't from the Associated Press. It's not from the Globe and Mail. It seems to be mostly on Al Jazeera right now. So Al Jazeera has been one of those news services that's actually been really good and looks like I just did a quick search in Iran. It looks like The Guardian has reported it. NBC News has reported it. BBC has reported it. And a couple of other news outlets are starting to report it. I imagine an hour or so from now, the Canadian news outlets will begin reporting it. So I'm hoping tonight we've actually made a scoop. So anyway, other than that, how was your day, Richard?
It wasn't too bad. We'll see how that works out as far as that ceasefire goes. To me, it gives the U.S. military a chance to assess all the damages that they've done and what damages they still need to do.
We talked about that last week. There is the Iranians retain the capacity to shoot down American fighter jets. They retain control over the Straits of Hormuz. They've started letting through independent tankers who pay them money. So they are actually doing pretty well out of this war. They are holding back the I don't know. Some would argue that right now the great Satan is a U.S. president, but who's to say what's going on?
Yeah, we'll have to see.
You want to go into our first piece tonight? It's also relating to this Iran war, if you'd like.
Sure. Let's do that.
You can tell we got a big picture of a crazy man. And the answer is obvious now. Both the Americans and the Iranians were playing at brinkmanship to see who could threaten the most. But over the last week, independent commentators have been asking the obvious question based on what he's been posting. Has U.S. President Donald Trump lost his mind? That's the thing we talked about last Tuesday quickly. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one. Trump was referring to what he wanted to do after 9 p.m. on Tuesday if he couldn't get a deal, which is essentially bomb the crap out of Iran. And he praised Allah, so you give him credit for being fair that way. And I was going to argue that the truth of what's going on in the United States is essentially a little more nuanced. And I think we got to agree that is essentially what's going on right now. There has been a lot of propaganda, most of it emanating from the U.S. White House. It's mostly been on X. It's mostly been coming out via the official White House account. It's been highly aggressive, it's been coordinated, and it's been focused on justifying, celebrating, and amplifying U.S. military action against Iran. And it's not been for the American public, it's been primarily to scare the crap out of the Iranians. Only a crazy person can ask for a ceasefire because I don't know, much like only Nixon could go to China. Someone has to be considered capable of pulling the global war trigger in order to be taken seriously. Now, the volume of the propaganda coming out of the White House over the last week or so indicates a deliberate rapid response messaging blitz with multiple posts every day during peak events rather than just sporadic commentary. No matching recent posts have appeared from places like POTUS or the real Donald Trump. And the reason for this is that the official White House handle and the official White House government accounts serve as a primary direct vector, making everything seem much more serious. And there's been a number of core elements of this strategy. First core element of the strategy is that US President Donald Trump wants to portray Iran as an existential nuclear and terrorist threat that rejected peace. Now, that's not what he's done. That's not what happened now. But up until now, Iran has been portrayed as someone rejecting peace. Post repeatedly stressed that Trump always preferred diplomacy, but that the main Iranian regime continued a relentless quest for nuclear weapons and rejected every attempt at an agreement. Now, this positions the U.S., propaganda-wise, as a reasonable party forced into action. And one post, let me pull it up right here. One post warns that a nuclear Iran would enable campaigns of terror and mass murder behind a nuclear shield, directly tying the regime to broader regional instability. Now, there's also been a celebration of decisive U.S. military superiority and recent victories. A central narrative revolves around something called Operation Epic Fury. This is portrayed as a stunning success. This was the initial days of the Iran war, the sinking of Iran's navy, the destruction of its air force, the eliminating of top terrorist leaders, and the conducting of rescue missions for downed U.S. pilots. However, Richard, like you and I said at the beginning, Iran gave as good as it takes. This is obviously propaganda, but it's propaganda with a reason. It's intended to convince Iranian leaders that the U.S. president is so fucking nuts that he needs to be dealt with. And well, that's what we're going towards here. Trump posts boast of devastating blows delivered in just 1 month and declare Iran has been essentially decimated. And visual photos of operations going on, videos of Trump commenting on rescued pilots. They're designed intentionally to reinforce the U.S. president's competence and heroism, whether or not that's true, but it's intended to reinforce it. And it contains slogans like, "We leave no American behind." There is also a lot of highlighting of Trump's personal resolve and his long-term consistency. And nearly every post ties actions back to the U.S. president personally. And you notice that the tweets have been highlighting, a lot of them include shots of Trump. And they reference things like his 2015 campaign pledge that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. And they involve near apocalyptic language, things like 48 hours before all hell will rain down on them. I believe that was the Sunday Trump message. And also, glory be to God and Allah be praised. Now, this personalizes the strategy, portraying Trump as a strong leader who delivered where predecessors failed. And again, keep in mind, this propaganda is not targeted at Americans who don't see this message the same way. It's targeted directly at Iranians. And there's also a whole series of ultimatums. He gave Iran a week. He gave Iran 2 days. He gave Iran a couple of hours. And then 10 minutes ago, Iran capitulated. So there's been a lot of ultimatums, a lot of pressure for capitulation, and a lot of direct demands appearing prominently. Things like, it is time for Iran to make a deal before it is too late. That's something that came out earlier today. 10 days ago, there was a specific 10-day deadline to make a deal or open up the Hormuz Strait. And the idea is to create urgency. It frames any Iranian resistance as essentially self-inflicted destruction. Now, the tone of the propaganda is modestly problematic. It's triumphant, it's hyperbolic, it's very moralistic. The format is pretty standard. It's short, punchy, and has strong attachments. But it does develop strong engagement on social media. And with all posts initially beginning from the White House, this is a powerful full spectrum military operation designed to legitimize recent, what military historians are calling, kinetic actions against Iran. You and I, Richard, we call it bombing Iran to hell. But it's also designed to deter further Iranian nuclear or proxy activity and burnish the administration's image of strength. And this could change tomorrow. This could change at 10 o'clock tonight. But as of 10 minutes ago, it seems to have worked. And frankly, it's propaganda at its best. And like I said before, it's meant for the Middle East, not for us, Richard.
Exactly. That's meant for the Middle East, indeed.
And I would argue that it seems to have worked, at least for the last hour.
For now, yeah. Anything that will basically stop the bombs from going. It gives, like I said, it's going to give the U.S. military a chance to go in and see, or to fly over and see what they have left to be destroyed before they feel comfortable that Iran can no longer build weapons of mass destruction, etc., etc.
To be fair, I would argue that Iran is not yet harmless. They control the Straits of Hormuz. They are taking money in Iranian rials. I think that's the currency. I think they're taking money in just about everything but American dollars, which is really starting to mess up the petrodollar.
Right. Exactly.
So if they're absolutely, the Americans are not out of the woods yet.
No.
Is that fair?
And neither is Iran.
Yeah. Good point. Both sides have walked off the cliff.
But just giving a break. That way, the soldiers, the Americans, can go and vacation for a little bit in one of the other countries and sit on the beach for a little while, give themselves a time to relax and rejuvenate, re-energize.
That's got to be a concern from the Iranians' viewpoint. After all sorts of news stories are coming out about how Iran can defeat a $4 million missile with a $4,000 drone, and the Americans are running out of missiles. So Iran's got to be worried about that. There's got to be a lot of worries on both sides. How do you think this will shake out?
Pardon me?
How do you think this will shake out?
I don't think it's going to stop everything right now, but it's because the Rockefellers aren't ready yet. They want to sell more weapons.
I got to say one more thing before moving on to our next piece.
Okay. Richard,
sometimes timing is everything. We got like 30 people from YouTube watching here tonight.
Oh, cool.
So I'm sort of happy about that. Hello, all you 30 people from YouTube. Hopefully you'll come back and watch us in the future. We're here every Sunday at 5:30, where we watch Roasting the Press, where we talk about media propaganda, a little bit like what we did with our first piece with Trump and Iran tonight. And then we're here also every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. where we talk about more newsworthy stuff. And it looks like we got the best news story in a long time here tonight.
Right.
Richard?
Yeah.
Shall we go on? You go.
We're doing pretty good with the viewers on YouTube. I should see if I can get a YouTube channel going here. That way we defeat Facebook.
I think so. I think YouTube is going to give us a little bit of a boost that we could never get with Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook has become very useless to me.
Yeah. Shall we go to our second piece?
Sure.
This is sort of old news now that I think about it, but it's important anyway. Earlier in this week, U.S. President Trump fired Attorney General Pam Bondi. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche will be taking over as acting AG until further notice. And everyone sort of expected this to happen at some point because of Bondi's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files and her perceived insufficient aggression in targeting either Trump's political opponents or Democratic malfeasance in the last two presidential elections. This is, depending on your politics, what you believe. I personally don't believe the new Attorney General Blanche is in favor of releasing more Epstein files or following through on the administration's evidence and arresting Democrats. So I don't think anything's going to happen, even though Bondi is gone. Richard?
No, and it's not really that she got fired.
Yeah.
She had another job lined up.
She had what?
She had another job lined up.
She did have another job lined up, but to me, it's obviously a demotion, isn't it?
No, it depends. Trump probably wanted to come out on top of this one. That's probably the only thing.
Maybe. What about the stories that Todd Blanche is the one that's holding up all these prosecutions?
I don't really care who's trying to hold him up, because it's going to come out no matter what. If you're going to be a wall in front of all this information, then guess what? You're going to be losing. Somebody's going to blow a hole through that wall. Somebody's going to climb over it. Somebody's going to go around it. Somebody's going to dig underneath it. And there's no way. There's no way that the information is going to be stopped.
No, I agree with that. There's all sorts of important information coming out now. All you have to do is read it. There's 3 million documents out there. There is already a podcast done with AI and artificial intelligence voices that is talking about all the connections in the Epstein file in little 15-minute segments. It's actually pretty good. And it's well worth taking a look at.
Yep, absolutely. And anyways, Trump may make it sound like he fired her, but I don't think he did. He just wants the world. He just wants to look like he's on top of everything for the rest of the world.
Maybe it's coming up on midterm elections. He's got to show he still retains the power, or the Republicans are doomed. Yep,
exactly.
Let's go on to one more quick background piece relating to the ceasefire. And that's this week's firing of several senior U.S. Army generals, and how this represents a significant escalation of the Pentagon's leadership overhaul under Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Now, the three that were fired this week include Army Chief of Staff General Randy George. He is the Army's senior top soldier, uniformed officer. He was asked to retire immediately despite having more than a year left in his term, and he was replaced on an acting basis by General Christopher Leneve, who is somebody I've never heard of, but he's obviously someone Hegseth likes. Also fired or let go was Training and Doctrine Command Head David General Hodine, and Army Chief of Chaplains, of all things, Major General William Green Jr. And to be fair, these three generals are not isolated firings. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has overseen the removal, the early retirement, or the block promotions for more than a dozen, perhaps as many as 20 high-ranking generals and admirals since taking office, I don't know, a little more than a year ago. Critics describe it as the most sweeping wartime leadership shakeup in recent history, and it's one of those things that is coming in the background of all the incredible propaganda happening right now. Richard?
Yeah, that was a surprise to hear, but I mean, it was expected as far as I was concerned, because a lot of those generals, a lot of the military is not dedicated to Trump, and of course, Hegseth has been probing who's really behind who's willing to support the Trump mandate. So they're going to get rid of these people that haven't been supporting what Trump has been doing. They're either secretly holding it back, or it's becoming more apparent that they are not supporting Trump. So
he's only got a few months. The campaign for the midterms is starting to heat up.
Yeah, and the military has to obey Trump. So if anybody in there is not going to be obeying Trump, then guess what? Out you go.
I hope things settle down. I get the impression some of this stuff was particularly goofy over the last year or so.
Yeah.
Also in the news this week, the economic side effects of the Israeli-U.S.-Iran war are just now starting to percolate through the Canadian economy. We're sort of a sideshow player here. We get to watch what's going on. We get to object. And as a sidebar, in order to stay in our current position in NATO, we have to start spending a lot more money to bolster our military. But other than that, there's not much we have to do right now. For example, and according to the April 2nd, 2026 Canadian Press Post, Deloitte forecasts Canada's economic growth will slow to 1.2% in 2026 amidst the Iran war and trade uncertainty. That was the top story in most of the legacy media today. And it's all about how an accounting firm, Deloitte, one of the largest accounting firms in Canada, has revised its 2026 growth forecast downwards 0.3 percentage points. It's effectively a 20% reduction in the outlook, but it's not all that big. Things are not all that hot anyway in Canada, and just we're all still playing in the margins. And while this doesn't seem like much, economists are warning that the prolonged instability could force the Bank of Canada to keep rates higher for longer, which will squeeze mortgages and consumer spending nationwide. And besides, a silent, ominous reckoning is currently unfolding in the global supply chain. Maybe that's gone. Maybe that cleared up 10 minutes ago. But the current partial closure of the Straits of Hormuz has disrupted not just oil, but things like the global export of fertilizers and sulfur, things needed to grow food. Now, experts are warning, no one ever learns who these experts are, but unnamed experts that don't want to be known, they're warning of a cascading food crisis, something that would affect billions by the next harvest season. And in North America, the spike in energy costs has also triggered an airline fare surge and a 1,000-point volatility swing in the Dow. And for all of those people who don't care what the elites are doing, I think it's worth noting that food inflation is certainly something we've been seeing recently. Everybody says inflation is 2%, but if you look at those costs and those rising prices, you see beef's gone up 20%, chicken's gone up like 15%. Nobody really believes the official government inflation rate as of now, anyway. Richard?
I agree. I'm not seeing massive amounts of increase in my food.
Yeah.
It's sure it's going up, but it's not going up like what they're talking about there. So It's not. There's something wrong with this picture. I think they're trying to put fear into the population to try and get more sales.
Could be fear, uncertainty, and doubt. The idea is to make everybody frightened, make everybody too fearful to go traveling, and seeing what the rest of the world is like.
Yeah. Well, I'm not planning on traveling anyways. I don't believe in that, paying all that money to be treated the way you get treated on a plane now. So, and in the airport. So I'm basically the god who's going in there with my pocketbook, and if I'm not being treated properly, you're not going to get my business.
You should book private planes, commercial flights. You're right; they're awful places. They're like a bus station.
Yep.
But if you get on if you get on a private jet, and there are companies that sell tickets on private jets for big business owners and stuff that have to move cities and got empty seats.
Yep.
And it's just sort of like hitchhiking. It's a neat way to make things move.
Yep. Yeah. So of course, all this stuff they're going to putting all this extra fuel surcharges on. Yeah. Well, I mean, they got to make sure they're not losing money, but that'll curtail a lot of the travel.
You still have to go through customs, and I don't know if ICE agents are going to be in the U.S. going through customs right now, but you still have to go through customs, so nothing is ever 100%.
Yeah, and I'm not. Yeah, the only time you need to go through customs is if you're traveling across the border, but if you're traveling within Canada, you're getting dinged heavily.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Anyway, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, we're at a tipping point right now. Things
exactly
get quick, or things get worse really quick.
Exactly. Yeah.
Shall we go on to our next piece? This is all about Canada, so it starts getting boring now.
Okay.
It's worth noting that Canada has seen better days as the Mark Carney federal liberal government attempts more and more to consolidate power within the PMO's office. The real power starts slipping through his fingers. And he's got a big week coming up, according to the April 6th, 2026 Blazing Cat Fur post under the title, "A Big Week Looms for Mark Carney and His New Liberals." And according to that post, Carney seems especially keen last week to quash any speculation that he intended to shut down Parliament and deliver a new throne speech in the near future. I think that's primarily because he hasn't passed very much. Now, also in Canadian news last week, at least according to the April 7th, 2026 CBC News post on how Canada's military members violated intelligence gathering rules during COVID-19. That post suggests that Canadian Armed Forces members used their own personal social media accounts, their own computers, their own networks at home during the COVID-19 pandemic to gather information about Canadians, violating intelligence gathering rules, according to a newly released report. Now, the report isn't all that terribly new. We've come across it before. It's all about something called Operation Laser. This is something the Canadian government put together back in 2020. It's a military plan. Essentially, it's a pandemic preparation plan, which grew up in the depths of the great COVID-19 pandemic from 2020 to 2022. Curiously enough, the paperwork for it was done just before COVID happened, and all the malfeasance happened during the COVID pandemic. It's not as if the Canadian military knows what's going on. This is pure coincidence. But during Operation Laser, multiple armed forces units were tasked with collecting information about public opinion during the pandemic. And over time, this information collection became an attempt to control public opinion. And they went to every major province and every major location, and they deployed throughout the country, trying to talk people into loving their Pfizer or Moderna vaccine shots. Now, according to CBC, military members weren't all that terribly competent. Military members without training and without oversight gathered intelligence without even knowing if it constituted intelligence. They used their home computers. They worked from home. According to the report, it was mostly a shit show. No one in D&D could use their old office computers at National Defense to log in on social media. So they used their home computers. That's how competent these guys were. CBC isn't all that competent either. Now, this oversight and Operation Laser was initially uncovered way back in 2021 in the September 27th Ottawa Citizen Post under the title, Military Leaders Saw Pandemic as Unique Opportunity to Test Propaganda Techniques on Canadians, according to the Canadian Armed Forces report. Now, the CBC followed up on the Ottawa Citizen Post from 4 years ago with a Freedom of Information request, which took 4 years to process. However, no one expects that to ever happen again. As outlined in the April 6th, 2026 Global News Post, completely unacceptable. Investigations find DND ignored records requests. The DND over the last year has instituted a new policy where they simply refuse to respond to any more access of information requests. Richard, any comments?
Oh, I thought the military was supposed to do what they're ordered to do.
I don't know. I think they have their own bureaucracy, and as long as their policies, which they decide upon, are in place, and one of those policies may be we don't have to respond to any more access of information requests, well, then they're okay.
No, they're not. It's amazing. The military just basically can ignore whatever they want.
They can ignore whatever they want. This article mentions that they don't even know how to accomplish what they want in some cases.
Right, exactly.
They didn't know how to log in on their office computers. They didn't have access to the right equipment. They used their home computers, but they used it ineffectively, and they use it in contravention of internal policies.
Exactly. Yeah. No, everything that they were doing during that scamdemic, the pandemic.
Yeah.
All their intelligence gathering was kind of stupid.
They thought it was important that we listened to them because they obviously knew what was going on.
So, yeah, right. Obviously. Indeed they did.
Here's the scary part of this story. Nobody at DND is going to be fired. Nobody at DND is going to be arrested. Nobody at DND is even going to be forced into early retirement.
Right.
And I think Marianne's behind me, trying not to be seen. Anyway, I have no idea where to go with this story, but this is it.
That's the story.
God damn, back in the 1980s, I spent a year in the Canadian Armed Forces. I mean, they taught us how to fire guns. They taught us how to do useful things. I don't think there's any people left in the Army that can do that anymore.
When was it? I was a cadet, I think in 1969, 1970, or?
Okay.
I was a cadet, and I spent 6 weeks there. And they gave me an order to get a haircut, and I couldn't fulfill that order, so I quit.
Did it make you the man you are today?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I stand up to authority.
I don't know. I think we should go on to the next. If I start telling old military stories, I'm gonna get banned from YouTube.
Okay.
Here we go. Our next piece tonight is also another story of stupidity. Canada Post has finally announced that it will phase out door-to-door delivery across the country sometime in the next year or so. It'll ship millions of households to community mailboxes or depot pickup over the next year. Now, the move, long signaled, but now officially announced, will reshape, maybe is supposed to reshape daily life for seniors, rural residents, and people with mobility issues, at least according to the government, but probably won't, since most mail is now delivered by courier or electronically. I noticed 2 months ago, even Revenue Canada is not sending out any mail anymore. I have to log into the Revenue Canada website to see if my paperwork's completed and my taxes are done. Revenue Canada used to be a great repository of kindling for the fire in the kitchen, and we've lost that. That is a crisis. Richard.
Yeah, Canada. Well, Canada Post needs to cut costs, and the most expensive cost that they have is people.
Yes.
So they got to get themselves more financially responsible. And the only way to do that is to get rid of the people. Now they can get once they get rid of the people, they can bring in robots.
Mm-hmm.
The robots work for free, so to speak.
Yeah.
Although it does cost maintenance and things like that. But the maintenance cost on a robot is much lower than the maintenance cost on humans.
I agree with you. Here is my fear, Richard. I fear that home delivery will completely roll up the carpet over the next year or so ago. And there will be some advantages. While now Canada Post is $2 billion in debt every year. They spend $2 billion more dollars every year than they get back from the government. A year from now, there will be no home delivery, and Canada Post will still be $1 billion in debt every year.
Yeah. Well, they got to compete with the couriers.
Maybe, but the couriers aren't in debt.
No, but the other thing too to remember is that Canada Post has a security, or they have a security level on all the mail that they deliver. The couriers don't have the same.
Yes.
So that's why it costs a little bit more for Canada Post to do business, because they've got to maintain this higher level of security on all the services that they're providing.
Mm-hmm.
So they got to guarantee that letter is going to get through. What's interesting is, it'll get through. It'll be delivered to whatever the address is, but is it the correct address? Does the person just take that and throw it in the garbage? What the heck is going on here?
I don't know. I don't think it'll go to the home addresses anymore. I think it'll go to a big box on a corner road.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, and of course I go to a big box to get my mail, and when I see the postman, he opens it up to start putting the mail in. The number of people that their boxes are so jammed full of flyers and everything is ridiculous. So, anyways, hopefully, he's supposed to take out the flyers and things like that, but the mail, and he's supposed to bring the mail back to the main post office.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't necessarily have to. He doesn't do that right away. Only if you can shove something in.
Yeah, I don't think Canada Post has gone through so much pain and suffering over the last 3 or 4 years. I would say that the people who really care, they're few and far between now. I wish them the best of luck. I understand how Canada Post is one of the last truly universal federal services. And now I don't think there's any in the government, except the government wants our taxes. I think Canadians need to reconsider what essential government services should look like.
I suppose so.
Yeah, what?
I suppose so, yeah. Because they are an essential service.
Yeah. No, I agree. I have sympathy for Canada Post. I have sympathy for its employees. But I also have I don't know. I think I really like horse-drawn carriages. We have them here on the island. The Amish people use them, but I'm not going to give up my truck.
No, no. I wouldn't dream of. I can't give up my truck. It needs to get me all over the place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We should go on to our next piece.
Sure.
Here we go. This is a scary one. Also in the news this week, after years, 5 years, I believe, of scandal and delay, the Public Health Agency of Canada has taken over and not only renamed the Vaccine Injury Support Program, they've changed the name to take out vaccine injury. Now it's the Impact Assistance Support Program, but they've pulled off all the data from the internet. Now here is Tamara Ugolini from Rebel News with a little bit more on this story.
Okay, this is crazy. Not only did the Public Health Agency of Canada just take over the VISP program, the Vaccine Injury Support Program, and rename it to the Vaccine Impact Assistance Program, but they have just scrubbed all of the previously publicly available data that broke down everything from the number of submissions to the number of approvals, appeals, etc. Luckily, in my last report, where I also tied in some of Theresa Tam's emails in regards to the development and administration of this program, I also included screenshots of VISP's latest data and some of those submissions. So make sure that you check that out and follow me, because I'm going to continue following this file as I have been for the last 4.5 years since the inception of this program. And don't forget that it was only through my exclusive investigation into this program that it was uncovered that the consultants from Oxero, the third party that was previously leading the program, they benefited massively from this whole incentive. They pocketed millions and laughed all the way to the bank, while those who were injured by the safe and effective marketing mantra were left waiting in the midst to wither away.
Yep.
No wonder they hate Rebel News.
Yeah, of course. They tell the truth.
I think it's telling all the information they pulled off of that website. My understanding is that there's hundreds of people with vaccine injuries, and
Oh yeah.
and at the end of the first year of the program, they cut off access at the end of the 6-month period in order to not have to pay out any money for any more of them.
Right. Yeah.
So this is what are you doing?
Clipping my nails.
that shows the contempt you hold these stories in.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. I listen to all these stories and then say, okay, well, might as well do something here.
No, I understand. Some weeks, I mean, a lot of this is like kabuki theater. We know the government. We know the government's feelings towards Pfizer and Moderna and all those other drug companies, and we know that the military generally isn't as smart as it should be, and we know that Carney is a corrupt guy. We don't have any stories about Carney personally being corrupt this week, but it's kind of an ongoing thing.
Right.
So exactly. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this, but I suppose we can go on to our next piece.
Sure, absolutely.
And don't stop on my account. Jesus, finish up your nails.
No, I just said the one I wanted to get done.
Okay. I wanted to say, before going on to our next piece, all news is not necessarily bad. There are some good news stories that we should talk about more often. And as outlined in the April 6th Zero Hedge post, under the title, where is it? There we go. Missouri Senate passes bill blocking World Health Organization, United Nations, World Economic Federation authority. Now, a Missouri bill directly confronting the role of unelected global institutions in domestic government has passed the state Senate. Now, the new law declares that organizations like the WHO, the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, all these NGOs have no jurisdiction or power within the state. This is the first time I've come across something like this. I kind of think it's a good idea. Richard?
It's an American thing. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see what happens with that.
You don't think it'd be any good for someone to spearhead an initiative like that in Canada?
I don't know. Canada is sort of stupid in that sense. We don't really do the right thing here because
yeah, good point. Carney and the premiers are fighting over the notwithstanding clause this week.
Exactly. Yeah, and of course we're dealing with a lot of idiots all the time. So I don't. What are these idiots going to do?
Yeah, they're probably not going to do the right thing. No. But I'm impressed that there are some places in the world where the right thing is being done.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, we got to. I guess we should highlight those more in our show.
Yeah. Anyway,
that makes more sense. I think that makes more sense is to cover the places in the world that are doing the right thing and basically say Canada's all screwed up.
Yeah, James Corbett, one of my favorite independent new media people. He writes. He's gone back to doing episodes of Solution Watch, where he focuses on solutions to our current state. He doesn't worry quite so much about people messing it up, but he focuses on solutions, and I think that's a good thing.
Yep, yeah, and that's good. Let's see the solutions that people come up with.
No, I agree 100%. I have one last piece, and then we have one more piece from your perspective. Is that fair?
Yep.
This one I like. Another positive story. On April 6th of this year, last week, just a couple days back, yesterday, in fact, Colonel Jeremy Hansen became the first Canadian to round the moon. Hansen and his 3 crewmates in the Artemis II space capsule, you can see them on the screen right now, broke the Apollo 13 record for the furthest distance humans have traveled from Earth, which I think is pretty cool. I personally think that it's still good that we can boldly go someplace new every once in a while. Now, I know there's no spaceship traveling behind Artemis II going to the moon and taking that actual live picture. I know it's a representation, but I still like the idea. The first photo was real. The image of this photo is pretty neat. I look forward to the Artemis II crew taking pictures of the moon and showing us parts of the moon we've never seen before. Richard?
Yep, and they're on their way back.
They're on their way back now? I thought they were sticking around for a couple more days.
Oh, no, they just went around the backside. They're on the way back now. They'll be back on Earth on Friday. In the meantime, the flat earthers are already editing the videos that they're capturing from the stories, and they're already making up new stories. No, this is all fake. There's no way that this could happen. The flat earthers are really jumping into it very quickly this time.
I think they have nothing else to keep themselves occupied.
I guess so. Yeah, they just don't believe that the Earth is a globe, and they don't believe that the moon is an object that's a few 100,000 miles away, and they don't believe that Mars is a few million miles away.
I believe that there are lots of things we don't know now. The things we've mostly determined, I don't think we should diminish our ability to access things we found out now. I hate to lose all our knowledge just because nobody can tell for sure, or nobody says they can tell.
Yeah, well, the flat earthers are just trying to create doubt in people's minds.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
create a conflict, because different people will have these arguments in the bars and all that stuff. And, no, come on, people. The earth is round. Don't buy into this nonsense.
Now we're going to get in trouble.
Yes, of course. Well, it's okay. We need to create this controversy.
Yeah. I'm going to give the floor over to you. Near as I can tell from our last piece tonight, you are a strong advocate of butter.
Yeah, I have been for a long time. But let's watch this. This is good.
Here we go. The March 28th, Mongo Minds on BitChute post, butter all the way.
It's never been proven. It has never been proven that saturated fat causes heart disease. What Ansel Keys said was, he said, we're sure that the research is going to come. Is that science? That's not true science at all. And he looked at a whole lot of countries to support his theory. He had to eliminate the Norwegian countries who've always eaten a lot of butter and creams and cheeses. He had to eliminate the French who've always loved their cheeses and their creams because they don't get much heart disease. He had to eliminate the Maasai. The Maasai live on blood, meat and milk. Zero heart disease. So he had to eliminate countries that weren't going to support his theory. But this is where it all came from. So 1953 he first put it forward. It gained momentum till about the 1980s when heart disease became the #1 killer. It's still the #1 killer today. So they introduced margarine and told people to stop eating butter because it'll give them heart disease. Well, did that lower heart deaths? No, not at all. Not at all. But it actually brought something else up on level with heart attacks, and that's cancer.
Yeah. It's generally conceded that all those things that were said about butter 50 years ago, most of them are wrong. Butter's pretty healthy.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. But that would have destroyed the margarine, the genetically modified canola oil. Canola oil was originally designed to be a light lubricant, lightweight lubricant. But they because they made it out of genetically modified rapeseed, it's a food, so we can put it on our salads. Yeah, right. Don't you dare do that.
I am shocked and appalled at how many petrochemicals they turned into foods starting in the early 1910s, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyways, when I saw that, I said, I really do support butter.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice. And I don't really relish the idea of having somebody tell me I have to have this poison put onto my food. So I made myself a sandwich for my trip tomorrow, and it's got butter on it.
Yeah.
Another butter that I've discovered recently is goat milk butter.
I've never tried that. What's it like?
It's in the grocery stores, and it's probably it ends up being about the three times the price of regular butter. Mm-hmm. But it has a really nice flavor to it. So I highly recommend it. And it's natural. It's from goats, which, by the way, I think we're going to have female goats maybe this year. So we'll be able to make our own milk and make our own butter.
For anybody tuning in for the first time tonight who doesn't understand the context, Richard has goats.
Yep. Yeah, we have 2 goats up here. They're male, so they can't produce anything for us. And they're pushy. So anyways, yeah, we do want to get some female goats so we can start to milk them. Hopefully we'll get some this year. Hard to say. It depends if we can build a large enough pen for them. Then, because we're going to have, that would give us a number of goats. The male goats have had their gonads cut off.
Ouch.
That's not cut off. The previous owner of the goats wrapped them with elastic bands, so they fell off. They basically dried up and fell off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's something I would like to experience, I don't think.
Wow. And you go. I was going to say this drags us into a more interesting conversation of distributed technology, distributed foodstuffs, how to survive in a civilization where the giant supply chains are starting to collapse.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've still got a lot of butter in the fridge, in the freezer here. Whenever I see it on sale, I buy it and put it in the freezer, and that way I'll never run out of it. Well, hopefully I won't run out of it. But yeah, it's definitely worthwhile. And of course, once we can start producing our own butter, once we get our own cattle, none of this stuff will be pasteurized.
Yeah.
We're not going to see that in here.
If I can slide in with a snide comment, once you've had non-pasteurized milk, the stuff on the grocery store shelves just doesn't seem as good.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of disappointed. I'm still having to drink the grocery store shelves stuff, but I just don't have access to the live milk.
And that's fair. I've come across it rarely, and I savor every morsel of it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, shall we wind up? What's on your plate for the next couple of days, Richard?
Well, tomorrow I'm gonna go to do my travels. Actually, I'm gonna get some work done on the truck tomorrow. Got to get new brakes put on.
Oh wow!
Yeah, $1,000.
Ouch!
I need donations.
We put this together on a shoestring budget. Sometimes we do interesting things. Sometimes we have a lot of fun. But I would suggest tires are expensive. I may have to buy some later on this summer. But for now, if you like what Richard and I are doing, please send a money transfer to Richard Gagnon at protonmail.com.
Yep. Yeah, any little bit helps, because I tell you, with all the cost of gas and everything that's going up, people out here, I told them, I said, I'm increasing my rates to work out here because of the fact that the price of gas and food is going up. Well, food isn't really going up that much, but the gas, I'm seeing it. I think it's at about $1.60 a liter right now, maybe $1.70.
Yeah, I think it's about $1.60. Last time I got gas was 2 or 3 days ago.
Right.
I tell gas if I have a little pickup truck. I don't have a full-sized one. But if I fill a tank over $100, I know gas has gone up, and it's been hovering around $107 the last 2 weeks. Well,
I've been collecting the premium colored gas, which is a little bit cheaper than, of course, the colored gas it doesn't have the road tax on it.
Okay.
But of course, the truck, most of the time, it's an off-road truck anyways, so it doesn't really matter. But anyways, I have yet to run across a check stop that is checking for colored gas, and I think they stopped doing that.
Oh, wow.
Anyways, I've got a pile of it that I had collected. I've got I keep 220 liters of that around. The thing is I've got that set up so that it would run the generators, which I can legitimately run colored gas in. But the generators, they have carburetors that get clogged up, and I have to take them apart and clean them.
Huh. So
one of my generators has got LPG on it, liquid propane gas. So I'm running that.
I'm gonna bring you back on topic for a moment here. You do shows every morning, not every morning, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, starting at 7:30 Pacific time.
Exactly. Yeah. And I've got Thursday's show ready, and I've got Friday's show queued up. I just have to finish editing. So yeah, I've done pretty good so far. And there's, by the way, I'm finding a lot of good stories now. So
it's so easy. Isn't it weird how 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something that would be top of news for the whole week would be the only interesting story. Now we get 2 or 3 of those things a day. Everybody's just coming off the deep end.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So, anyways, that's my schedule for this week. I'll be back next. I'll be back on Thursday
Okay.
with my morning show.
And that's at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, I believe.
That's correct. Yeah.
That is fine. I will get together and work with you again. I believe on next Sunday. I don't remember the date for it, but we normally record this program, this show, last week today, every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on a variety of internet platforms, including the one you're watching now, which looks to be a lot of YouTube tonight. We republish next day with notes on our Substack page at chuckblack.substack.com. We include the links to all our primary source material, so you can agree, you can disagree. At the very least, you can follow our trend of thought. And most of our stuff slides behind a paywall after a month online. So if you'd like to maintain access, the easiest thing to do is to sign up for a monthly subscription. At the very least, Richard needs new brakes, and just it's expensive to live. Subscriptions are $20 Canadian a month, $160 per year. It entitles you to access archive posts, anything over a month old, plus includes lots of in-depth stories not covered in our regular pieces like tonight. We also provide a Substack app to help you access Freedom Forum stories from your phone, and subscriber chat so you can tell us what you really, really want. My name's Chuck Black. I directed this show using StreamYards, which you see up there right now. And we recommend StreamYards, both Richard and I, but only if you sign up using either Richard's or my link. We get 30 or 40 bucks out of it every month. 1 or 2 subscriptions. It's a little bit of a bonus, and it helps defray some of our costs. Doesn't buy tires, but it is helpful. That's all for tonight. The show notes will be up on Substack tomorrow morning, and we'll be back next Sunday at 5:30 p.m. for another edition of Roasting the Press, and we will be back again next Tuesday, 7 days from now at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with another edition of Last Week Today. And as mentioned earlier, Richard has some really good stories coming up on a number of his social media channels. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, starting at 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. Now, I think that's all for tonight. Richard, have I missed anything?
No, that was actually really good. I'm glad we got the show done. Oh, look at that. We're on time.
We are on time. We're doing pretty good tonight. We're very lucky. It went really smoothly, and life was cool, and we were right at the top of a cool story.
Right.
Anyway, good night, Richard. I'll see you in a couple days.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.